Hey guys, Angel at Plaudit here. I wanted to do kind of a more formal unboxing of a microphone preamp that I purchased from Sweetwater Sound. Now, this all stems back to going to the NAMM show in January. And one thing I found from going to NAMM for those 3 days was Fredenstein. Now, Fredenstein is ran by Fred Schuckert. He is the CEO of the company, and we spend many hours at his booth just demoing his goods. And kind of came to the conclusion that I would jump into it and really demo their products. So what I have here is one amazing mic pre. Well, it's two in a rack unit. And one thing before I go into the unboxing is the standard recording sampling rates are generally at 44.1, and you could go up to 192K for recording. However, it's very expensive, I should say, to be able to run at 192 unless you're using like the HTX card for Pro Tools or you have a great CPU that could handle 192. So this will overcome that limitation because the sampling rate for the mic pre is 920K. That's almost 9 times, I believe, 192 or 4 times 192. And on top of that, our standard frequency spectrum that we record at is like 20 hertz to 20,000 kilohertz. Now, this thing will go 5 hertz to 50K, if not 90K. It's absurd. So let's go ahead and show you what's in the goods. Now, this is the box you'll get when you purchase the Fredenstein HD mic pre, and it's very cool. I mean, you have the tape that says Fredenstein Professional Audio, which is very neat. You have a pretty thick corrugated cardboard box. It's double corrugated, and when you open it, you'll have on the top the Fredenstein manual, which I would read through it if I were you, and it has all the goodies, and it will show you the frequency spectrums of everything. So it will do anything you want and more. And as you can tell, you have the styrofoam sides to keep it well packaged. It didn't move. There's no damage to the product from shipping from Taiwan to Sweetwater Sound and Sweetwater Sound to me. And as you open it, let me go ahead and remove this. So you remove those styrofoam sides, and this is most likely just one of the electronic films, so that way you don't have any static discharge. This is it. It's the Fredenstein HD mic pre. Now, let's run through some of the controls on it, and then we'll talk more briefly. So on the front panel, you're going to have two 7-segment LEDs. Now, this will show you the gain. You have up to 64 dBs of gain. It's ridiculous. And you have the volume control that are actually stepped. So it'll toggle every single volume, and it'll go, like I said, all the way up to 64 dB. And it's very, the control dial is very nice. It's very smooth, and they're gain matched. So if you see 63 dB on one side and you wanted to match it because you're using a stereo system, then you just put 63 dB if you ever need that much on both sides, and they're perfectly gain matched. So even though you don't have a stereo link on this, it will do that for you because it's that accurate. And then going to the next control, you have your P48, which is the universal phantom power for 48 volts. Same thing, the controls on it, very sturdy. Then here you obviously have your polarity. So if you need to flip polarity, like you're doing a snare top, snare bottom, you can do that on this. So you have them, they're on both channels. Now going into the input, you have variable input impedance. Now you could go, I believe the range would was about 2.2K down to 200 ohms. And the reason you want variable impedance is for things like ribbon mics. You need to change the impedance on mics, and being able to have this on the mic pre, I don't have to worry about buying the Cloud Lifter High Z, which is the same thing. You have the 25 dB gain that's from the Cloud Lifter CL1, and on the top of that unit, you have the variable impedance on it. So this will do that, and that saves you an extra $360 per channel just in itself, because you're having to do that anyway. Now, going also, you have your HPF, or your high frequency passing. So same thing, you have your standard dials, I believe, 39, 82, and then you could sum them so that way they go to 150 or 160. Same thing, a lot of controls. And it gives you so many options just with all of that on tap. And like I said, it's a stereo unit. And on the back side is also equally cool, because you have your inputs, your channel 1, channel 2 inputs. You also have your DI in case you want to run DI for bass guitar, or maybe you want to have you want to use this as a beautiful mic pre, or for your guitar. You can do that there. And then your standard XLR outs. Now, this guy right here is actually really cool. This is the control module for their controller. Now, you could purchase this unit, which I did, and you could buy the controller for the unit, which is also a rack mount. And same thing, it'll look the exact same on here. And you put the XLR on this side, and then the other end of the XLR will go to the controller, and it looks the exact same. The only difference, though, is that this little LED that says lock status, it'll actually be a toggle. Same toggle style as this guy, but you'll toggle it on the controller, and it'll lock this unit, so that way you could have the controller in your control room, and you could have this on the live floor, and you could control it through there without having anyone else that's less inclined. They can't mess with the settings. And that also brings me to the next point I have, is that obviously you have your power button right here. You have your power switch, I should say. However, on the back side, you have a secondary power switch. So, in other words, if this power switch is not on, the unit will not turn on. Turn that side on, then you go into the front of the unit, now it'll turn on. I like that as a safety switch just because, and it's pretty well thought out in that regard. And another cool thing is your AC adapter. If you notice, you don't have one that has a switch that says 115, 230. This is an auto select, so you could just go anywhere in the world, plug it in, turn it on. You don't have to worry about making sure you have the correct adapters, or you have one that'll work with certain voltage. It will automatically select that. And like I said, I think that's beautiful. And yeah, these units are on Sweetwater, $11.99, and these are phenomenal units. And one more thing to add that's fairly trivial is the power cable. So let's turn it on and just let's see it. Now, as I mentioned, you have to have this side turned on, or else the unit will not turn on. So that's off, on. Now let's go to the front side. This is the cool part. That noise you're hearing is obviously the turning on, which reminds me to say, you have a beautiful little fan here that will whisk away the heat. You have the cut metal for also heat dispersion on the top and the sides, both sides I'll add. And yeah, so let's go ahead and jump in it. Currently they're both set to 53 dB, 35 dB. And as I mentioned, you could just choose whatever you want. And like I said, it'll go from 0 dB all the way up to 64. Then you could turn on your polarity switches. And one thing I like to mention is you may not hear it with the microphone, but every time you change a setting, there's an audible noise or click. Some people may not like that, they want a quiet unit, but I personally like hearing the mechanical changes. That's just me being weird, but it's there. So same thing, you have your phantom power. Go ahead and turn that on, it's red, tells you it's activated. Do your polarity, oh, excuse me. Turn those off. And then now you go to the impedance. Notice that when you select that, same thing with your phantom power, excuse me, is that these are your LED dials. You'll have -18 to +20 dB. Very wide spectrum. It'll always show you. So that's, I think, awesome. And then from there, you could also switch it. So that way you're running both the impedance selections. And then obviously you could just turn one on. Now, same thing with here with your high pass filter. You could toggle those and switch them. So, I mean, you could hear the switching, like I said, which I love, and it's very silent. Now, in a later video, what I'll go ahead and do is use this guy, record on record on acoustic guitar, most likely with the 59 I have in the back and my also 1974 Guild. So we're going to record that with nothing else except these Rode M5s. One reason why I went with the M5s is that they're very inexpensive microphones. Anyone could buy them. They're $199 for the stereo set. And they're already matched pairs, which means that the difference between the two microphones are within 1/4 dB, I believe, which is what Rode decided to do. And also, they're small diaphragm condensers. So check out for the next video. We'll be doing an actual playthrough with these little guys and the HD mic pre. But yeah, to finish off with this video, first impressions on the Fredenstein HD reference, which is this beautiful unit, is I am very satisfied. I've been looking into purchasing mic pre's for quite a while in the studio, and there's nothing wrong with the Clara 8 Pre-X. It's just I want something different. I want to try more products. I want to get better products. And in my eyes, Fredenstein is truly the way to go. They're a little difficult to get in the United States. You could contact West Audio. They're a distributor. You could contact Sweetwater Sound. Same thing, they're a distributor now. So I would highly recommend this, and stay tuned for the next video, which will actually do a live demo with this. Thank you so much for watching.